Welcome back to the Bucks Planet podcast. I'm of course your host Will Neely, and we're back. Okay, it's the playoffs. It's the real deal now. Okay, we're not just going to be making Antonio Brown videos in the playoffs. Okay, because it's the playoffs. Okay, we've got bigger things. We've got bigger fish to fry than Antonio Brown. So that being said, let's get right into it. As we all know, we're playing the Philadelphia Eagles, and opening thoughts. Okay, so this team is not extremely good, the Eagles, right? So this kind of honestly reminds me similarly to when the Bucks went to play at Washington last year. And the Eagles, okay, they have a winning record. They're obviously better than Washington was last year, but it's not a super difficult matchup for us. Now, obviously anybody can lose any given Sunday, but if they lose this one, I'm going to, probably throw a riot and should not be good. So, how can the Bucks avoid getting upset? How can they beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday? Okay, I'm going to first give my offensive keys and my defensive keys. Okay, you guys remember this last year? I would always do this. I would have the offense and then my offensive advice and then I had the defensive advice, okay? And I just side note, I was right every single time with everything I said on that one. So, let's talk about this. Let's go and keep the streak going. So, for the offense, what will the Eagles defense be doing that will trip us up? Well, it's the same thing that most teams have been doing all year if you've been paying attention. And especially if you go back and watch the previous Bucks Eagles game, they did it in this game. They pretty much only called cover 2 zone. This is what's given the Bucks trouble all year. It's why you haven't seen at them as many explosive plays as we've had in the past, like last year. Like it's been that same thing with the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of teams are calling cover 2 zone like we did in the Super Bowl because we kind of laid the blueprint on how to beat them. But now, we're getting a little bit of a taste of our own medicine because all these two deep safeties are really preventing us from having the big play. And that's kind of how our offense operates all the time. It's always reliant on the big play, at least at some point. Brady's kind of helped balance it a little bit to efficiency and big play, but overall, it's still a big play offense. And the Bucks have done a decent job, I guess, on beating cover 2 this year with design plays. Like for instance, in the Eagles game, there was one play where we had Chris Godwin line up in the slot. He ran up the seam, and then Mike Evans ran an out route towards the sideline. That's an instant cover 2 beater because Chris Godwin running up the seam distracts the safety and makes have the corner be between both the slot and the wideout, and the other receiver closer to the sideline at the same time. He has to make a decision. Then once one cuts out, one keeps going. Mike Evans will be open on that play, and Brady will most likely hit it. You can run different variations of this: cut over the middle, when the outside guy goes deep. So there's a lot of different ways you can run it. But the problem is you can't just do that the entire game. And that's kind of when we start getting tripped up because then what do? We've seen it before. The offense goes into the just throw it to the flat guy. Okay? And that's what Tom Brady's done for a long time. The problem is our running backs aren't particularly good at catching the ball except Fournette's resurgence, who hopefully will be playing at 100%. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, we just make throwing it in the flat look hard. Like you see all these other teams do it with just random players. Like you have a Rex Burkhead or just any. And it's just kind of funny how when it's us, it just looks difficult when we're throwing it 5 yards. When we throw it to Leonard Fournette, even when he does catch it, it looks a little clumsy. It's kind of weird. Sometimes it works though, and he has been playing a lot better recently. So I just pray that he will be not only playing but healthy. Because if he's playing, he's not really that healthy, and he doesn't really do anything good, then might as well not be playing. And so basically, my point for the offense is they need to have more designed plays to beat this cover 2 all the time instead of just, oh, everyone's backing up. Let's throw it to Fournette in the flat. Let's throw it to Fournette. Because then what's going to happen? Yes, the Saints game would happen, right? He gets injured, and then let's talk about if he gets injured. Okay, Ronald Jones isn't playing in this bowl game. He's just not going to play in it. So he's not playing in it. So then what's the other running back we're going to throw to? Keyshawn Vaughn. Okay, he's been playing better than I thought he would be, but I mean, come on. He can't catch. It's just a thing. I'm sorry. I hope he steps up. Hope he proves me wrong in this game, but If we're throwing to Keyshawn Vaughn in the flat as our game plan, you can go ahead and start packing your bags now. And then, the 50-year-old Le'Veon Bell, he has good hands. I'll admit. That's why we brought him here. That's why I thought it was a good signing. I thought that was a good signing because it fit. Because he's a veteran player. We needed more depth. He can catch the ball well. That's, in fact, the main thing he was known for in his prime was catching the ball well. So he obviously knows to do that. Decent at protections. But we might be getting Giovanni Bernard back, which was our third down running back all season before he got brutally injured in, I think, the Bills game or something. And he was known for catching the ball too. So hopefully we'll get Giovanni Bernard back, Leonard Fournette back, and then that'll kind of help ease the burden of the carries between the running backs by getting our main two guys in there. And Le'Veon and Keyshawn Vaughn can just continue their role of just being a role player. Keyshawn Vaughn isn't really a role player. He's just really a nothing, to be quite honest with you. Le'Veon Bell's a role player. Keyshawn Vaughn's a nothing. But unless we all get injured, then he actually has to do something that's role player, I guess. I mean, really fourth string, whatever. So that's the offense, okay? And then obviously there's just some obvious things. You have to block well, okay? You have to get the ball to Mike Evans, right? There's no other really good receivers. Just Cyril Grayson. I mean, it was like finally, this Cyril Grayson guy's going to step up. He's going to be a big deal in the playoffs, and he's, not going to play. Of course he gets injured. And we are running very, very thin because it's going to go Mike Evans. It's going to go Tyler Johnson, Brashad Perryman. That's probably going to be our starting three. And then Scotty Miller's going to get in there for that fourth spot. He is. He's kind of been in Bruce Arians' doghouse all year. And speaking of doghouses, who else has, made a bed and had an entire renovation in there because he's been in there for so long is O.J. freaking Howard. I mean, it's like Bigfoot when you see him. I text my uncle every time. It's like a joke in our family group chat. Every time he makes a catch, we text Bigfoot sighting. Do you know why? Because it's like seeing Bigfoot because he's never, I don't even believe he's real sometimes. He's just never there. And think about all the injuries we've had to tight ends, we've had to receivers, and he's still not getting playing time. So that is the doghouse of all doghouses. Even when the coach, you force the hand of the coach to play you, you're still not playing. So there's something up with that. I really don't know what it is. In fact, I kind of wanted to find out what it is. Because, last year, before he tore his Achilles and missed the whole season, he actually had a decent start to the season. So it's like, what happened? I don't know. I mean, I just hope he does something because he's not going to be here next year if he doesn't do something in the playoffs. And he's got all the raw talent. I don't know. I really don't know what it is. The last time we saw him really have a prominent role, yeah, he dropped the ball every time. He fumbled a bunch, cost us games. But it's been 2 years since then, and now he's just not there. So you just assume he's still the same player, but, now they're just not going to play him. So that's my offensive advice. So let's go to defense. So last time the Bucs ran, just like the Eagles did, they ran cover 2 zone pretty much the whole time. This is very unlike the Bucs normally. The reason they did this is because, flashback here. Okay, we had so many injuries at corners. We had Carlton Davis out. We had Sean Murphy-Bunting out. We had Richard Sherman out, who, by the way, is not going to play another down as a Buccaneer again. So thanks for that signing, whatever. And so we basically only had Jamel Dean in that game. And, so we had guys like Pierre Desir out there. We had guys like Ross Cockrell out there. And it's just not good. It's not good. That's never a good sign when those guys are out there starting, okay? When they're, out there and they're on the sideline and they're on the bench, that's kind of where you want to see them. Not out there on the actual football field, other than maybe special teams. Okay, so then we have the problem was normally the Bucs, we know how this goes. It's man across the board, one safety. We blitz everybody. That's what we do. That's just what we do. Sometimes we had a second safety. That's about it. But a lot of the things were different now because we didn't have Lavonte David in that game. We might not have him in this game. And all of our corners were injured, which, by the way, Carlton Davis was put as questionable on Sunday because he has a back issue. Okay, out of all the times for this is just not the time. It's not the time. Not the time. Whatever. Hopefully he plays. I think he will. I don't know why. I have no evidence to say that he'll play. I just have a hunch that he will. So we have that. So the reason why this is important is because the way the Eagles kind of operate is it's actually kind of interesting because Jalen Hurts is better when you blitz him. which kind of plays against our strength because we like to blitz. But since we had all those injuries, we couldn't really blitz, and then we kind of defensively played really good against the Eagles that game before we imploded, which we'll get into. And so then I think this go around, I'm really not sure how they're going to play it. I mean, I think that they should continue to do the zone and mix in obviously a little bit of man, but I would definitely favor the zone because they just didn't really know how to do it last time. It was just drop everybody back. We covered really good the last game. Hurts is better when you blitz him, so I would say lay off the blitzing. You have to do it sometimes just to mix up the coverages, but for the main part, lay off the blitz, kind of call the zone. Not super soft though, not super soft. Just a little soft, tad soft. Not like my pillow soft, but like I don't know, like a rug, like kind of like a semi-uncomfortable rug soft. Like that's how I would go. That's how I would do it. But so it's funny that I'm saying this because you guys remember last year, and I just hate that zone coverage. I want to send man, I want to blitz everybody. I want to do this, but to match up with the Eagles, it's just better to call zone for the passing aspect. Now, this is where it kind of came to bite us later. So the reason why we almost lost that game because we were beating them by like 25 points at one point or something crazy like that, and then it ended up being a 6-point game. Why? Their offense started playing better. Why? Because they started running the ball better. And this is where Lavonte David really comes into play here because Kevin Minter is fine. Actually, he's not fine. He's bad. He's bad. I'm just going to say it. I was going to, before this podcast, I was like, I'm going to be nice this week. I'm not going to be nice. I'm never nice. I'm not a nice guy. So Kevin Minter's not that good. He's slow. He's not really good at reading plays that well. And the problem is Devin White is a good player. He's a good player. He's had a little bit of a down year, a little bit. But he needs Lavonte David, and I'll tell you why. Lavonte David is so good. In fact, I think it's his best attribute. A lot of people think it's tackling, a lot of people think it's speed, whatever. I think it's his ability to recognize a play and read a play and not bite on anything. He's maybe the best linebacker in the league, even past 10 years since he's been in the league. 10 years. Go to the past 10 years. Nobody has been better at reading play actions than him. He's the best. Turn on the film. You'll see it. He never bites on them. He always is in the right position for the run game. The RPO stuff, when that all started getting implemented in the NFL the past few years, nobody's been better at defending it than him because he just doesn't fall for it. He knows what you want to do. He knows what you're trying to do, and he's just going to be there. And he might not make the play every single time, but he's not going to bite. Whereas Devin White will bite every time. Because sometimes Devin White is a little bit like a bull in a china shop just running around, or a dog chasing a car. He's just a little crazy. Doesn't use his head sometimes that much. You can see it on film. After one bite, he's already back there. It's like, okay, well, now they're passing it. The guy you're supposed to cover is now running 30 yards down the field, wide open. And it's not a bad thing with Devin White. It's actually probably a good thing. He's super hyper, like the way he plays, super aggressive. I love it, but it does, you kind of live and die with it. I mean, as good as it is, it has its flaws. So, and Lavonte David kind of hedges the risk that Devin White takes on every play, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas Devin White's going to be that aggressive guy, Lavonte David, while maybe he's not as fast to get there because he didn't bite as quickly, because let's say it's a run, okay? But they're trying to make it look like it's a play action. And so while they're doing the handoff, Devin White might already be back there because he's not even going to pretend like it's a play action. Where Lavonte Davis would be more cautious. Like, okay, wait, see this play action? Oh, not a play action there, I'm there. So Devin White made it there first, but, what if Devin White's wrong? Then Lavonte David's in position. Again, they kind of complement each other, and that's why they've been the best linebacker duo in the NFL the past 2 years. Really past 3, but so I think truly that Lavonte David is the one that makes the massive difference in this defense because he hedges Devin White's risks and aggressiveness when playing. And he also helps kind of teach Devin White. When Lavonte David's there, Devin White just kind of plays smarter too just because Lavonte's there. So we need Lavonte there. And Shaq Barrett, I mean, my freaking goodness, we need him back. And I think we are going to get him back because we need that edge secured. Because, Cam Gill and Joe Tryon, Joe Tryon, he's been okay. He had a great start to the season. He hasn't really done much since, and he's gotten more playing time, so he hasn't done that much. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. He has many years Not really. Next year, I mean, he's not really starting this year. He's only really started a few games, so I think he'll get better. But for the playoffs right now, we need Shaq in there, and he's gonna replace Cam Gill. That's gonna be very helpful. And we need Jason Pierre-Paul to replace Joe Tryon. So all of this needs to happen, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna get Shaq Barrett back. Well, I think Levante's 50-50. I think Carlton. I just feel like we're gonna get him back. I don't know why. I think that we're probably going to get Fournette back. However, I don't know if he's going to be 100%, which might affect it. And then that's pretty much all the ones I know about. So that's pretty much going to do it for this one. Okay, guys. I mean, this we have to win this one. I mean, at least this one. If we make it to next round, you lose to like the Cowboys or the Rams or Cardinals or whoever we end up playing. I mean, it's just at least like a respect of this one would be absolutely embarrassing if we lost. And we could lose this game. You could lose any game. So we need to not overlook this one. We need to do everything I just said, and we need to win. We need to win. All right, guys. So hopefully, I will be making a podcast next week on how to beat the playoff team we're playing next week. Hopefully, I don't know though, and hopefully we also stay healthy and don't get injured. So with that being said, I will see you guys next time. Watch that game on Sunday, 1 o'clock. By the way, weather conditions. It's supposed to pour, but now they're saying it's going to be pouring in the morning, but 30-mile-per-hour winds in the afternoon. I really don't know if that's the case. I mean, pray for Suck Up because he's been a little this year, a little bit, tad bit. So hopefully the weather conditions are good because if it goes into whatever team can run the ball better, it's unfortunately going to be the Eagles because the Eagles have the number one rushing offense in the NFL. Thank you. And that's not what we want. We want a passing game because we're significantly better at passing than they are. So, with that being said, Sunday, 1 o'clock, watch the game. Hopefully the weather's good, and hopefully the Bucks win. Go Bucks.